Hello again. How's everyone? Being blessed, I will hope. Being full of abundance and prosperity. Breathe in, breathe out. Faith. How many of us have that? Faith. Believing in something unknown. Something that cannot be seen, heard, but undoubtedly knowing that it is to come, and having wholeheartedly seeing it through a divine source. Faith, the cornerstone in all prayers. The cornerstone of all prayers. Let me say that again. Faith. I want to share with you a story about faith. This took place when I was younger. I remember me, my sister, and a neighbor were all sitting in their truck because the lights had went off in our house. And I remember we were urging them to try to cut them on, and there was a wait. It didn't matter the situation or condition that anyone was in. Now, a coincidence is just merely the act of something that could have possibly happened. But this was just faith. And I remember sitting in the truck, and my sister was next to me, and she prayed right there next to me. Dear God, cut on these lights. And before she was done praying, the lights came on. That was my first example of faith. And it was truly mind-blowing because I felt like that's what happened. When a coincidence happened, I don't just feel like, I don't really feel anything when it happens. It's just like, oh, that's a coincidence. Me and another person showed up at the same time, and I was just about to call that person or something. But I felt her prayer right beside me, even though we were kids. And as soon as she was done praying, the lights came on. And that was an experience I wanted to share with you. Another experience. Moving forward, my later adult years, I got caught up, was in some trouble, and was arrested. Had a real high bond, couldn't afford no lawyer, and it was a disaster. There was more charges thrown on, and it just wasn't looking real hopeful. Once again, I prayed. Only this time I took 2 scriptures with me. I believe they were Psalms 23 and Psalms 91. And I remember putting them in my shoe, taking them to court, because you couldn't take anything in the courtroom when you go. They checked my socks, but they still were in there, and I got into the courtroom with them. And I remember sitting down with my public defender, and I kept asking for a lower bond because, believe it or not, my bond at the time was around $250,000, with some type of hold that would have had to provide proof where the money came from. So it was 72 days, if I'm correct. I was sitting in custody. And when I got up there to stand before the judge, my attorney said something about my bond, and I was trying to talk also, and it just looked like the judge had been touched by something. And the judge was like, Mr. Smith, why are you so focused on getting a bond today? Your charges have been dropped. And I just remember, like, my heart like fell to the bottom of my chest, and I was like, what? And yeah, now I still had a little bond I had to come up with, but it was nothing like the $250,000, and there was no way I could get a lawyer or even come up with some of the bond money. And that's my act of faith, because I did believe that God was the only one that could get me out that situation. And there's many more I could share with you, but that's what faith is for me. And each of you are going to have your own different experiences with faith, as long as you keep that faith. Because everything that Jesus was doing back in the biblical days had a lot to do with faith. The disciples following him had a lot to do with faith. They believed in him. And then they started doing miracles on their own. They started healing people. They started doing miraculous things under the authority of Jesus. That's what faith can do for you. Faith allowed him to feed how many people? A lot. Bread, fish, leftovers. Faith. John the Baptist had a lot of faith. Faith is what you need. The substance of things believed, yet not seen. Faith. So have faith that Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. And through that act, we have authority to do great things through faith. Peace, my brothers and sisters. Love, nourish, grow, provide, and spread faith amongst each one another. Peace.